Alrighty, daily trading recap for Thursday, the 11th of November, 2021 here. Again, no trades for me on the day, which should have been now these past 3 trading days that I should have followed along that game plan of continuing to hard press and focus on the pattern that I'm trying to play. And one of those certainly came out today on CGEN, but just wasn't unable to pull the trigger. But we'll get into it with a specific breakdown. Housekeeping first, though, on SPY, just really minimal price action today. We're actually down on the daily compared to where we closed from the open, but we're still looking at a 0.04% uptick from where we dipped from yesterday. So, yeah, whatever, but still kind of following along that same trend line, same data point of object in motion tends to stay in motion. If it was red the previous day, it's got a higher than likely probability that it does the same thing that it did yesterday today. So just another data point on the scale. Market internals for dollar volume, NASDAQ, $202 billion volume. A pretty abysmal. We're 9 minutes after the close, though. NYSE, $219 billion volume, and OTC's $2.6 billion volume. Pretty steep drop off compared to previous days. And just, again, another day of not a lot popping up on the scanners. It's funny of Chris even texting that he hasn't even opened up his trading platform in the past 2 days. It's absolutely crazy, and I'm totally right there with him. Just not a lot. Always opportunity, of course. It's every single day of the stock market. Anytime anything is open, there's always going to be an opportunity to make money. But yeah, certainly no ideal setups or just hard pressing price movements for us retail traders to kind of get into. So let's get into CGEN, which, man, shoulda, coulda, woulda been a very nice one. I was certainly ready to attack this one with 300 share position, which would have been $2,100-ish position size. For how I feel, I've been looking at these gap and crappers, these either morning short trades or post-morning session short trades, or even pre-market short trades, looking for more of a morning dump setup. But this one, float on this one was 81 million. Higher floater, American Biotech, a losing money biotech, which is also a good point as well, too, that I wanted to mention on this one, because we have earnings on this one tomorrow, which was kind of a little bit, I think, more of a throw off for the afternoon session than really anything of how that affected any price action going on in pre-market or the morning session. At least I think the reason why it did have a little bit of a pullback here was because of potential earnings speculation, even though looking at these earnings here in the past, there's never been one. I see one here that's zero that was expected of positive earnings, but all of these have just been negative. It's a money-losing biotech, which is absolutely ridiculous. And on that as well, since we are the day before a earnings, I don't know what time those earnings come out, but going on the past 6 days before earnings here, we are 5 out of those 6 have been red days before that day of earnings. So kind of not necessarily looking at as a trading point, but just looking for any amount of indicators or something to go in the favor of, okay, hey, I'm looking at this one as a potential short play. We have a major catalyst, a major event coming up. Is there any type of trend that's this stock has followed in the past along that same event that comes every quarter, that comes at specific times that we should be aware of or factor into the trade too? So good mention as well, not as a hard trade measure to say this thing's definitely going to be red, but just another good check mark to add to the list to say, okay, well, 5 of the 6 last days before earnings here have been red days. So just adding that to the bank of, it's going to be a good idea that not necessarily that's the morning trade is going to be there to the short side, but a good overall idea that we're potentially not going to get squeezed so crazily high, especially that it's an 80 million floater. Borrows were not crazy whatsoever as fees from Trade Zero. And yeah, that factor too. But also pairing that alongside with huge volume day today off of that news catalyst that they had collaboration expansion with Bristol Myers Squibb alongside $20 million equity investment. So they gave 2 million shares to another company at 8.5, which we topped at 7.6 7.67. So interesting to see with that. And then, yeah, 2 million shares, nothing close to what it did in volume today. 11 million shares we traded today. So not like that was going to be any amount of limiting factor or like, oh, okay, there's huge overhead in this. Add that to another short bias on this one. But always good to have a little bit of overhead at least. But of course, those were highly what am I trying to say? Farley, okay, I'm just going to leave whatever I was trying to say with that. But shares above where it's trading at, of course, is overhead. So wanted to see this as a price action. I thought this level of $7, that whole dollar level area, was going to act as a little bit more of a potential point of inflection. We had these interesting candles here in the pre-market where we initially came down here a little bit earlier than I was watching this one hard, that kind of bounced down to the $7 level area and then rebounds closer to VWAP immediately off, not immediately, but very perkily off of that point back to VWAP, still kind of trending, downtrending still, not breaking to the upside of VWAP, showing a lot of strength. But then we get closer to market open, and then it was just watching the level 2, watching the time and sales, it was just like price action was just dropping off, and we were looking red. Now we're testing that $7 level again, and then all of a sudden this volume candle turns green, and we're back at 7.2, 7.15, and I'm going, where the heck did that come from? So it was a little bit of just kind of throwing me off of like, do I really want to be in this one? It's not like there's much other opportunity that I want to be in, but man, this is just kind of weird price action that I just don't like being part of. It just gives me that little iffy feeling. And watching around this point too, which would be 9 a.m. Eastern time frame, we get these little tops here, and it's these kind of 4 candles that I think, okay, sweet. It could have a little bit of a perk to the upside of VWAP here. We might get a little nicer continuation, which could lead into some more morning volatility to chop around until we get a nice afternoon fade trade, which I would absolutely want to be a part of and trade this one as. But then that's just where the peel-off was. There was no more continuation after there. So that was a little bit of a hint to, after watching that, to say, oh, there's another good point that I've never really been a part of in the shorting the tops or trying to pick a top, that when it looks the scariest or when it looks like it's the most opportune time to go long, may be the time that's actually the top. So kind of, famous last words like I always used to say, but sometimes it's when it's scariest to try and short it, oftentimes may end up being the top. But we get a little pullback off of that one, and then 7.2 again becomes another level area of resistance, and I knew from there too of, God, I could totally play a short off of here, but I'm just not gonna. I'm gonna stick to my strategy, look for any morning volatility. Maybe we perk above VWAP closer to market open as we're coming in the final minutes and get some amount of volume right away from the bell, and then I can short later, maybe half an hour, 45 minutes after the open, to play for a longer fade on this one. But it really didn't happen. We just had no amount of support to get to the upside of VWAP there, just continue to chop around. And then we get this final one good attempt to crack VWAP here to the upside. And man, I just get in this weird little dilemma all the time of who I am as a trader and what I'm trying to look at of, okay, am I still keeping my full attention on this one on every single tick? Because what's my attention span like? I can't maintain full focus, 100% attention on this level 2 and time and sales when I don't think a play is there really for like this 15 minutes. But yet at this point, I'm like kind of pulling up other charts or just looking at different things, watching the live stream with Monaco, which I'll get into with another ticker as well. But just doing different things of the chart, but not fully focused on this one. When then it's all of a sudden that this one key point of inflection, that reject at VWAP, in my head, I immediately go, this is going to be the top. This is the top put in. And now I'm dealing with, okay, well, shoot. I know I should have started reserving shorts in pre-market because I definitely want to be shorting this one. But then do I want to be just sitting on them for no reason? Well, is that gonna subconsciously force me to try and play this one even if I don't really feel like there's a play there? But just stupidly, I should have just done it anyway. That cost is just so negligible that just go ahead and do it, because then you get in situations like this where I'm seeing that drop and now its price is around like 7.10 still, and I'm going, okay, I think I could short this one, even though I'd rather be closer to 7.15 obviously, or try to get a top at 7.2, which I probably would have had a limit order there anyway to get that price filled. But then I'm just kind of looking over to my trade zero, trying to get shares again, and then trying to put in the order entry, and then price is already starting to fall off, and now we're down to like that $7 level area again. Now it's breaking to the downside of $7. I'm going, okay, shoot, well, I can't chase it here. And now we're coming to the low of day potential break. I'm like, I cannot chase it, and it's kind of just stutter stepping. But man, that was certainly the trade, and that's another lesson of, well, just don't hesitate. It's, there's a lesson in wrestling of the one who hesitates loses. Is that wrestling or something else? But in trading, I think it can be totally different. Of sometimes it does take a little second indicator, or sometimes it's just about a matter of preparation. I certainly wasn't prepared for this type of action to take place, where now that market is open, and now we've never come to the upside of VWAP, and really volume isn't there past this first minute. I have to throw away all those previous ideas of, I was looking for an afternoon style of trade, looking for some kind of just jumping around, choppy volatility. Maybe it comes closer to this little top here, 7.6-ish area. Maybe it just kind of does bounce around, but I'm looking to short the downside of that. I have to give that up because now this is a totally different chart, and I have to realize what's actually here, not just my own interpretation that I feel should be there, or just kind of wishy-washy hoping for that I thought I was going to see, and how I was preparing myself to trade off of that, because that's not happening. This is a totally different setup, and I failed to really adjust to that. I think, and that's why I really wasn't so keyed and prepared for this specific move here, the reject at VWAP with volume that just fails to get any amount of traction, continue to go on. Oh man. And certainly not a slam dunk home run, even call it a double, or it's just a nice single. I mean, if you're nailing it still at 710, being able to take off shares at 6.7, 40-cent move, that's pretty legit. And on not very expensive or crazy borrow fees, that's certainly a very probable trade that I wanted to be part of, and an easy hold as a short that this thing is just continuing to grind lower. I certainly would want to have seen more panic just immediately on it. That's how I like to trade it as a scalper, but also kind of a trend player that I know this stock is going to be down, but I want to look for those quick and hard moves. But even still, this price action here, even though it's not the most beautiful to my eyes, man, just an easy hold. Set a limit order for profit taking, just set it and forget it. I certainly would have been a lot out around 6.8, even breaking this low here, probably taking off more at 6.7. But that's another level too that I think when I'm in these trades of defining, okay, how much do I feel these can actually drop off? Because this wasn't even up that much crazily. We're closing at 13% here. So this whole price section too was 15% maybe. So not the most awesome or probable trade. That was going to light up other retail traders to try and go this thing long, but then also just to the short side of, okay, how much more do we think it can fall? Like, how much profit opportunity do we truthfully and honestly think is there to the downside intraday on this one? But I mean, that's all you need. This move here is all that you frickin' need as a trade to be for probable, repeatable, and easy to hold trades, in my opinion. And that's why these are what I'm trying to go hard on as of right now, in this market at least, for what we're showing. Relating back to yesterday, that quote from Art of War, that everybody was really expecting this November market to be the igniter, to heat things up again, to get things going, the penny stocks and the promotions, and even small cappers to continue to start their runs. But it's just not been showing itself lately. But we can't just expect that of a market. The market doesn't care. It is what it is. We got to adjust to that. Traders, our job is to adjust, and that is the key that I feel like today I was missing on that one, just with that pattern that I mentioned of I was still trying to put my own perspective on it rather than taking what was there in front of me. And the same thing with the market in general, of take what the market's giving you, not trying to force, not still operating as if it is going how your perspective is going, because sometimes, I think for me especially too, most of the times it's not. So a little missed opportunity there, but good experience for, I've never done the recredit the shares back to TradeZero where they buy the shares back. It was like, I spent $11 on the shares and they gave me $3 back. So it's like GameStop trading your video games in, but good little experience. Yeah, doing that. Yeah, that was CGEN. I'll mention PPSI as well, where today it had this little, call it a first green day. I was looking hard at this one yesterday for this type of move here, but again, just choppy and weird price action. Monaco on the live stream even said hey, he's been trading for 5 years and he could not tell you where this thing's going to go. As it's grinding here in this morning session of just chopping, well, it's kind of pulling back a little bit, looking nice, but does it just absolutely drop off the planet here? Does it skyrocket and go up another 1,000%? Who knows? But very nice. A little opportunity there in the morning session, and another little post-morning session. Whoops, did I push something? A little afternoon fader, or post-morning session, at least fader, getting it perfectly an hour after open, perfectly on the minute after the open. Downside there, trading this from 10, easy cover at 9.2. You're still able to hold it here as it looks like it's kind of double bottoming, bringing in more longs, but then dumps again back to VWAP. Easy little trade there from 10 to 9. It continues to stair step down the whole rest of the day, but yeah, again, weird price action, and just I'll wait for the next bus on that one specifically. And then SAVA, I mentioned what a great, if I'm watching this in the future, great trading and breakdown of this from Monaco on the live stream. Definitely watch that from him, the replay of it on the Stocks to Trade YouTube channel, for what he was looking for, how he broke it down pre-market, what he was looking for going into the trade as it was developing, all the lines he was drawing and the key areas of resistance, and very nice, very easy to follow. And unfortunate that it didn't work out here. Obviously, you can see this is where he was kind of cutting with a failed trade execution, or the failed trade opportunity. But man, a great lesson in just how you deal with these losses as a trader, how you go about, okay, well, it's just not working how I planned it. Cut it, move on to the next one. Just absolutely no big deal. Very, very awesome reference material today on that one for SAVA. This is certainly not in my wheelhouse as a type of trade, but if these start to work out, if I see more of them start to working, I could certainly add that to the playbook. But I could definitely 100% see what he was trying to go towards today, for how great he was able to outline that trade on that one. And also, funny to note here that I wrote of, he didn't have VWAP up, which I have VWAP up on all my charts all the time. And it kind of did give a little bit different of a picture to say, okay, yeah, I can see maybe a little bit clearer the lines that he was drawing, or the trend changes that he was seeing, versus how sometimes VWAP may kind of hinder that ability, through my eyes at least, of, okay, well, I would look at this pullback here as, okay, well, now it's pulling back to VWAP, and now we're getting a little bit of just kind of a buffer, and now coming back to the upside, where he's seeing this as just a straight up nice pullback. Yeah, it's same, but also a little bit different. So just as maybe a little bit of point of reference for the future of rhyme and reason why we may or may not have VWAP up on some charts, or why we do on others. I just thought that was a good point to do that. I could see it a little bit differently because VWAP wasn't up there, and maybe some charts have that type of appeal, but maybe I'm just seeing things itself. So that was really all the tickers I wanted to mention. Nothing hard on the watch list as of right now. No hard scans for me. 26 minutes after the close here. NUZE was a NUZE. What is it showing? 161% up after. It's an American specialty coffee company. 11.5 million floater. They are expanding into select Walmart stores nationwide. Okay, whatever type of news. So a little bit of a harder pullback, dumped under view up here for the afternoon session, but certainly keep an eye on it, see what it wants to do. Maybe it has a little bit of a rest day, nothingness day tomorrow, and then, oh shoot, that'd be Friday. Well, then we'd open up the week Monday with a third day surge style of play potentially on this one, if it has any amount of gap up, has any amount of buffer or build off of support bases or technical levels there. This like $5 level certainly looks, $5 area certainly could be a little point of inflection, but keeping our eyes on it. That is all that I had. Keeping safe, keeping sharp, keeping on the grindstone for identifying these patterns, and then just as they come up, getting rid of the hesitation, getting the preparation in hand beforehand, so that it doesn't have to be the, oh, well, is it really going to work out here? Is it going to be the, no. There is no time to do that. That's the lesson I feel I can learn best from today. That is it. I sincerely thank you guys for watching. We will catch you guys on the next one.